So I was scrolling through my TikTok feed the other day when I was bored, as you do, doom scrolling your life away, and a clip came on my feed from my For You page from the Jeremy Vine show. And it involved a friend of the show, Reem Ibrahim, who is a communications director at the Institute of Economic Affairs, which is a right-wing libertarian think tank who masterminded the Liz Truss budget that crashed the economy. Now, I don't really get on very well with Reem Ibrahim for a lot of reasons, given that our ideologies are diametrically opposed to each other. But this clip was an interesting one. This is a very, very interesting one. This is a clip during a debate about the problems of young people carrying knives and whether or not they should have metal detectors in schools to be able to ensure that knives aren't being taken to school. And she said something very interesting.
Can I just say, I'm not necessarily opposed to adults carrying knives if they want to. I mean, for self-defence reasons, of course. Yeah, I think, look,
guns?
Well, I mean, that's not even a conversation.
The statistic shows that people carrying knives for self-defence leads to knife crime.
Yes, yeah, and I said that earlier, right?
But you condone a rise in knife crime by saying that it's okay for adults to carry knives.
So I think knife crime is fundamentally a consequence of the war on drugs. When you've got criminals in the illegal market being fuelled by the fact that the government have made all of these things illegal, and by the way, the government are about to make it even worse by making tobacco illegal, people go to the illegal market, they go to the black market, and you get gang-on-gang warfare. It's county lines.
Well, because what's interesting hearing you, because you're on the right, and you've just said the same thing as the Green Party, who are on the left.
Yes, Zack Polanski and I actually messaged about it, and I said, I completely agree, we must legalise all drugs.
Yeah, because he wants...
What a turnout for the books. Because I don't agree with the idea of adults carrying knives. I think it is right that the statistics show that even if you're carrying it for self-defense, it just leads to more violence, right? But fundamentally, she's just 100% correct on the war on drugs. This is exactly the point that we were talking about when it came to the Green Party's position of wanting to decriminalise even the hardest of drugs, because you treat it like a social problem, you treat it like a health issue rather than a criminal issue, and you don't push people underground, you don't fuel a criminal black market that leads to inter-gang warfare, as Reem Ibrahim correctly, or 100% correctly identifies, which is a source of so much of this violent crime, because it all stays underground, right? It's the same when it comes to sex work. If you make sex work illegal or criminal, all it does is make it less safe, and all it does is push it underground into the hands of unscrupulous people. You can never ban this stuff. You can just make sure you have it regulated and taxed, or you have it as part of a criminal network on the underground, on the black market, right? That has been the history of the narcotics market and the sex market for time immemorial. So it is important what she's saying here, and we can see what happened in Portugal insofar as they legalised it. They had this big state investment in getting people clean, treating it like a health issue, ensuring that people have the peace of mind of knowing that they can go to a health professional and not be treated like a criminal, not be at risk of being handed over to criminal authorities to deal with the potential crimes that they have committed by possessing or whatever it might be. When you treat it like a health issue, they have every reason to go and get themselves clean. They're not under the yoke of criminal gangs, and they are not at risk of arrest and of detention for possessing things like Class A drugs. This is fundamentally the point that we made. The only reason Portugal is seeing worse outcomes is because this kind of second phase, there was a more right-wing government who cut back on a bunch of the social programs necessary to deal with this issue. It is a holistic issue that requires healthcare investment to solve the problem. But the war on drugs has failed. It's created more crime. It's created more addicts. It's driven it all underground. And it's also made the drugs worse. It's made the drugs cut with stronger substances. It's made the actual strains much stronger and much more addictive and much worse for the people taking them as well. It's been a colossal failure from start to finish. And Reem Ibrahim, absolutely correct. And I'm glad to see that she's on our side on this one.
To legalise crack cocaine and, as far as I know, crystal meth. Yes. So what would it be like Breaking Bad, but you'd have a public car park with all those caravans in?
The reason why is, look, the majority of people won't touch these drugs, but it's those criminals that do. I would rather them be treated as patients and not as criminals, and I don't want criminals that kill people with knives to be fuelled with lots of money.
David in Cheshire.
Literally 100% correct. 100% correct. The problem, of course, with what Reem Ibrahim is saying here, though, is that she says you want it treated like a health issue. I agree. It should be treated like a health issue. I've just said that. She comes from the Institute of Economic Affairs and she wants to get rid of the NHS. I'm like, how would you expect to be able to solve this issue especially when it comes to drug addicts, not known for having lots of money. Do you think they're going to afford copays? Do you think that they're going to afford health insurance? It's necessary to have state investment and having access to healthcare that everyone can draw upon free at the point of use and paid for by general taxation to ensure that you have the holistic and widespread and easily available treatment for this issue. That requires state investment because no one's coming to save drug addicts. No one's going to come to save them. They have to be able to save themselves, and they're not going to be able to do that if it costs money for healthcare, or indeed if you need insurance to have access to healthcare. Like, what private company is going to want to deal with these people? It's ridiculous for her to make a perfectly correct claim about the necessity of treating drug addiction like a health issue, and then not to want to fund the social programs to be able to help people who have these issues that you've treated like a health problem. Seem like that's a particularly cogent plan to me, because fundamentally you need to get people off of drugs. You need to do that, or the people who are addicted at the very least, right? It is one of the leading causes outside of kind of family rejection for homelessness and for cyclical homelessness as well. It's why a housing first policy is also very important to deal with this issue too, insofar as a lot of people who become drug addicts become homeless, and then because they can't get off drugs, they stay homeless, and because they stay homeless, they can't get off drugs. It's a cyclical problem. They go in and out of temporary accommodation. If you actually want to be able to get drug addicts the ability to be able to have the stability to get off of drugs, they need stable accommodation. Stable accommodation is the basis of a functional society for all sorts of reasons, but the only way we've ever solved homelessness in any country at this point, really, is by building houses and putting people in the houses. Having widespread, available, cheap social housing that you can put people who are homeless, who do have addiction issues, into without any conditions attached, so that they can have the stability that they need, the routine that they need to be able to put their minds towards getting off drugs, to be able to ensure that they have continuity of care, easy access for healthcare professionals, and a routine treatment to be able to get them better again, and the stability that they need to rebuild their lives from cyclical homelessness, which is usually what happens when you're on drugs, when you're addicted to drugs. The homelessness problem is cyclical. It happens over and over and over and over and over and over again. And if you have a problem with rotating homeless shelters and temporary accommodation, that solves nothing. It doesn't lead to the stability. You have to build houses and put them in the houses. So that is fundamentally how you solve these issues. And it will all come from state investment in public health, in public housing, and fundamentally decriminalizing the possession of drugs, no matter how hard those drugs are, so people feel that they can go and get help rather than risking arrest. And to break the model, the business model of the criminal gangs, which is predicated on the fact that their market is entirely curated by the illegality of the substances. The fact that people have nowhere else to go because there's no legal way of procuring these things means that you put them into the arms of the illegal gangs. Which, funnily enough, same is true of asylum seekers. If they want to come here and there's no legal way for them to do so, they'll come by small boat and pay a gang to do so. You want to break the criminal gangs, you break the business model, which means getting rid of a criminal incentive. It's not rocket science, is it? It's brain surgery. Hey there, if you enjoyed the video, make sure that you like and leave a comment. That helps the video out in the algorithm. If you subscribe and ring the bell, it'll let you know when I go live. I stream every day on YouTube and Twitch. You can also follow all of my socials down in the description. And if you want to support me in a more financial manner, there's a join button for membership to just 99p to be a member on YouTube, as well as a Patreon, and there's some merch there as well. And hopefully I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.